The moment my husband looked me dead in the eyes over lunch and said, "If you really want to, you can," I knew, this man had been inside my Kindle, inside my books, and apparently had a color-coded spreadsheet tracking every single spicy scene he'd been acting out with me. Let me start from the beginning. I'm 32 years old, and I read a lot of romance novels. Like 4 to 5 a month. Not the super explicit stuff, more the Emily Henry type books with the illustrated cartoon covers, enemies to lovers tropes, that kind of thing. It's my escape, my hobby, my thing. About 2 months ago, my husband of 11 years started acting a little different in the bedroom. Not bad different, just occasionally there was this vibe like he had something planned. We'd have what I can only describe as a themed night, and I'd think okay, that was fun and a little random, and then I'd move on with my life. Then a few days later I'd be reading my book, hit a spicy scene, and actually have to put my Kindle down, because it was the same scene. Like, the same vibe, the same moves, occasionally almost the same setup. And this didn't just happen once. It happened 4 times. 4. The first time I thought it was a coincidence. The second time I raised an eyebrow. By the third time I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. And by the fourth, I knew something was going on. I finally told my sister about it, and she immediately started crying laughing, which was not helpful. She thought he was reading ahead in my books and essentially performing the scenes with me before I got to them, as some kind of prank. But here's what I couldn't figure out. I read on my Kindle. He would have to get into my account, figure out where I was in each book, read ahead, and then coordinate the whole thing. My husband is a big tech and numbers guy, so if he was doing this, I guarantee there was a spreadsheet involved somewhere. And honestly, I wasn't even mad. If this was really what was happening, it might have been the most unhinged romantic gesture anyone has ever done for me. But he was technically spoiling my books. Like, I'd be reading along, getting to the good part, and instead of that rush of excitement you get when a scene builds up on the page, I'd already lived it. 3 days earlier. In my own bedroom. With the man who apparently project managed my romance novels like a quarterly business review. The thing is, he really is an amazing partner. 11 years together and he's still out here finding new ways to be surprising. I genuinely don't deserve him, and also he was ruining my books. So I had this dilemma. How do I tell him to stop spoiling the plot without accidentally telling him to stop being the most high-effort partner I've ever had? Because those felt like dangerously close to the same conversation. I thought about it for a while, read a bunch of advice, and ultimately decided. I was not going to talk to him about it yet. Instead, I was going to mess with him. Here's what I did. I rushed to finish my current book faster than usual. Then I left my Kindle open to an earlier chapter I'd already read, just in case he went to check where I was up to. And then I made the spicy scene from that book happen in real life that night. I initiated it. I went all in. Oscar-worthy performance, honestly. My thinking was simple. If there was a spreadsheet tracking all of this, and I absolutely believed there was, it was about to get a very confusing entry. Because according to his data, I shouldn't have been at that scene yet. But here I was, living it out before he could get to it first. I figured one of us would crack eventually. I just had to wait. Nothing happened the next day, which I thought was weird. So I decided to escalate. This time the bait was a specific book. I started reading It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Now, if you've read that book, you might understand why I chose it. While my husband and I are adventurous, there are certain things we don't usually do. And that book has some scenes that would definitely push boundaries. I wanted to see just how far his commitment to this bit would go. A couple of days went by. And then we were eating lunch together. We were both working from home that day, just a normal afternoon, nothing out of the ordinary. And my husband looked at me, completely serious, and said, "If you really want to, you can." I just stared at him. When I asked him what the hell he was talking about, he finally broke. Turns out everyone who guessed was right. He had access to my shared Kindle library this whole time. He'd gotten the idea as a prank at first, just to see if I'd notice. But once he did it a few times, he said he really got invested. That was his word. Invested. This man got emotionally and logistically invested in recreating my romance novel scenes. And then came the confirmation I'd been waiting for. Yes, there was a spreadsheet. I need you to understand the level of effort we're talking about here. This wasn't just a list. There were chili pepper emojis for spice levels. A dedicated column for notes, things like needs wine, and links to Spotify playlists for mood setting. Color coding. Multiple tabs. More organization than even I was expecting, and I was expecting a lot. This man had essentially created a project management system for our love life, sourced entirely from my reading list. I don't even know when he found the time. He works full-time. We have a life. And somehow in the margins of all that, he was reading romance novels, cross-referencing my Kindle progress, and building out an execution timeline. Once we both stopped laughing long enough to have an actual conversation, we worked out a new arrangement. He agreed to stop spoiling my books going forward. No more reading ahead, no more preemptive performances. But, we came up with something else. I'm going to give him a list of pre-approved spicy scenes from books I've already finished. And he gets to choose, in no specific order, which ones he wants to surprise me with. That way I still get the surprises, he still gets to plan and execute, and my current reads stay unspoiled. The spreadsheet? It's not going anywhere. In fact, it's now a shared document. I can drop in my own chili pepper ratings and notes. It went from his secret operation to our collaborative project. After all of this, I showed him my original post about the situation and the update I'd written. We actually listened to 2 hot takes together every week, so the second he saw what subreddit it was from, he knew exactly what he was looking at. By the time we finished reading through all the comments together, we were both crying laughing. Someone commented that he was a freak in the spreadsheets and the bedsheets, and when I showed him that one, he said he felt seen. He doesn't have a social media account, but he offered to answer questions or message anyone's partner with tips on how to be this level of dedicated. His words, not mine. 11 years of marriage. He has surprised me more times than I can count. But a color-coded, multi-tab, chili pepper-rated spreadsheet tracking the spicy scenes from my romance novels so he could act them out with me before I read them. I really should have seen this coming.